Hi, I'm Chuck Dorsett for Weaver Leather Supply, and this is the Leather Element. If you've got a good question for us or a good idea for a leather element, drop it in the comment box below. Also, if you want to know when our videos release, just click your notifications. You'll know exactly when these come out. So here's a question I get from time to time from folks that want to teach classes. And let me tell you, there's nothing more rewarding. We're leather crafters. We want to spread the joy that we get from our craft. Well, there's one big obstacle, a class kit. If we've got 10 students, we need 10 ponies, 10 mallets, 10 pieces of marble. This can get expensive. Well, actually, there's ways around this because students can share some of the tools. That'll help us get rolling. So let's see if we can build a class kit inexpensively. Let's start here, just a couple of points that are going to help us out. Now, it's just my opinion, but if you want to start teaching a leathercraft class, start with a small class, 4, maybe 5 people, and let's go with a very simple leathercraft project. This is going to do a number of things for us. Well, first off, we need to come up to speed teaching a class, but more specifically, we need to come up to speed teaching that particular project. But secondly, that's going to make our kit much more affordable to get started because every project has a different set of tools. Here's what I'm talking about. And let's go with just a basic phone holster. This is a great beginner class. People are going to love to make it and they're going to love to use it and or wear it. So with this, we're going with a pre-dyed leather. That's an important point. We'll talk about that. But on this, all we have to do is cut, groove, chisel, sew, drop in our oblongs, and we've got a great project. Okay, here's the opposite of that, and we wouldn't expect it. Just a simple little keychain looks good. Well, now we need a decorative cap, line 24. That's our shotgun shell. We're going to need a setter for that. We're going to need rivets and a rivet setter, a revolving punch, split ring, and if we're going to dye this, now we need dye, top coat, and all the things that go with that. But the bigger problem with dyeing, same with wet forming, carving, stamping, now we have dry time. Dry time is tough to work into a class. We can do it, but my point here is let's go with just a pre-dyed leather. It's going to be a quick, easy class. All right, so let's step over to our main table. We're going to look at the things that we need just to make a small card wallet. This is one of my favorite projects for beginners. It's a simple, fun project that we can use. But there are some tools that we've got to have for each student, but there's also some tools that we can share. Our first step on any project, we're going to have to cut some leather. Now, I typically will supply the patterns. I'll make these in advance for the students because if they make a pattern, that's going to cost us 30 to 45 minutes of class time. They can learn how to make patterns later. Let's jump into the project. Now, these are tools every student is going to need. First off, we need something to cut on. Our poundo board is a great surface. We sell this in 12 by 12s as well as the 12 by 24s. Well, that can get a little expensive. We can always go with plywood. Most of our big box hardware stores will actually cut that down. Very cheap way to go. And on our square, we all know how important this is to our craft. But simple rulers are a dime a dozen. That's a good place to start. And with our box knife, I cut everything with this. The blades are cheap and sharp, but also the knives, relatively inexpensive. But let's do this. Let's get our students used to retracting that blade. Let's keep our work surface safe. And last, we need to mark from our pattern. I love the heavy duty awl. We've got a scratch awl, a scribe, but in all honesty, pens and pencils will absolutely do that job. Okay, so our next steps. Let's say we've got our body and our pockets cut for our small card case. Next few steps, first off, we've got to attach the pockets to the main body. I think our double-sided tape is one of the best things Weaver has ever added. Here's the downside. That is a headache to try to distribute to students. Here's the easiest thing to do and the cheapest. Let's just go with our leathercraft cement. Right here, I've just got small pieces that I've cut out of scrap from our pattern sheeting. We drop glue on each one of these, pass them out. Super easy, super inexpensive, but the best part is when our students are done gluing, we take these, throw them away. We're out virtually nothing, but the best part, the glue is no longer on the table. Now, our edger and our groover, we can share those. Same with our chisels, but I wouldn't go more than 2 students, and here's why. The next 3 items we've got to have, because if we're sharing these, what's happening is we're actually doubling or tripling the amount of time it takes to do that step. So our students are going to need a mallet, our marble, and our punch board. Now our punch board, this is our poly board, but once this gets a little too used to use in my shop, with a simple jigsaw, we can cut this up into 6 pieces. That's inexpensive. The poly mallets, these are great and will last forever. I bought that in the 90s. And on our marble, the center of our leather shop, this is the bane of teaching classes because we've got to haul this around. We've got smaller cuts. That's the best way to go, 6 by 6 inch. Now, we can always go to a countertop store, marble countertop. Here's the problem there. Well, first off, most likely, their scrap is going to be the sink cutouts. That's way too much marble for us to be tagging around, right? Secondly, though, if we get scrap, it's going to be a bunch of mismatched pieces, and again, that's going to be a problem to travel with. So, the 3 items we've got to have, our mallet, our cutting board, and our marble, but the other items, we can share those a little bit, okay? Next up, we need to add a stitch. There's all kinds of great leathercraft projects out there where we don't have to sew, but I always pick a project where we need to for 2 big reasons. First off, I want our students to know they don't have to buy an expensive sewing machine to hand sew leather, and it looks good. In fact, they're always surprised with their outcome. But secondly, if they can sew, that opens them up to just about any leathercraft project. Our pony, we've got to have a sewing pony for each student. That's my original sewing pony. We can make a couple of cheap ponies for our first couple of classes, but we've got to go with the pony. This solves all kinds of problems. But a good point here, this actually separates from the base, so it packs up very tightly and it's not very heavy. Now on our thread, 1 spool is going to take care of us, and 1 pack of needles, that's a 25 pack. So we can actually teach a pretty good class with that. Every project requires a certain set of tools, but if we take our time, we teach our class to that empty shop, we're going to make sure that we have exactly the tools and materials we need for every step and every student, and if we do that, our students are going to leave with a beautiful project and a big smile. If we start with a simple project in a small class, well, first off, that's affordable, but it also allows us time to come up to speed. But if we do that, it won't be long before we're teaching great classes to eager students, and those students, they're going to be surprised at what they're capable of doing. You brought that to them. How rewarding is that? I hope this is good information for you. Thanks for taking time to watch The Leather Element. Good luck with your projects.